We are going to start today with the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah.
Roll call.
Mr. Armanovich?
Present.
Mr. Anderson? Here. Mr. Kumo? Mr. Rice?
Here.
Mr. Missantry?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Mr. Howell? Mr. Howell?
Yeah, I'm here.
They have a quorum.
Spanish Clemens.
Not here.
Again?
We had an executive session before we started. Today we discussed finance and human resources issues.
And two informational items.
Two information. Thank you. And we have two people, public, who wanted to speak today. I have, excuse me, is it Donna Marie Davis?
Yes.
Yes. Would you like to go first? Would you like to
Sure.
speak at this time?
Sure. Do I go to the podium? Is that?
Oh, you can please come
What's
right
your
here.
procedure? Okay, sure.
Please list your name and where you're from.
All right, first, I apologize for giving you my back by turning this way. I just feel rude, so.
You know what? You're welcome to
Is that-
stand at the podium if it makes you feel
Yeah,
better.
I'd rather do that. I just feel
Absolutely, no
really
problem.
disrespectful.
I'll get you there too. I'll get her there too.
You can credit my mom for that. So yesterday.
Excuse me, would you please tell us where you're from?
Correct. Okay, so Donna Marie Davis, I'm a resident of Warminster. I can empathize with you as a former member of the Board of Supervisors for Warminster. And I do not relish what you have to do, but I do empathize with you. I was also on the board of the Pollution Land Reuse Authority, which decided the fate of the Boulder Naval Base. I'm a former federal litigator for special needs children and plaintiff side of employment discrimination. At this time, what I do is I run a charity that I started with my brother, who is an applicant physician, called Peace Valley Holistic Center. That's located in Chalfont. We started that charity back in 2009. And we help all special needs children, but the autism community is very small and very close. So when you are able to help a nonverbal child speak, the word gets out. And I'm very honored and humbled to say that since 2010, when we officially opened, every nonverbal special needs child that has come to us now speaks, which is, to me, it's a miracle, but it's very scientifically based. But I'm here today, though, because we had the privilege yesterday of being given a site visit, and I walked through your school with a movie producer named Terrence Tykeen, if anybody would like to Google him. He was also an NFL football player, and he was injured, and then he had a career and had a contract with Warner Brothers as a singer. And he parlayed that and his connections into becoming a movie producer, and he enjoys writing, directing, and producing movies that have a very strong social subject matter. He doesn't like to really do anything that's frivolous. Not a bunch of cars exploding and people running around and things of that nature. He likes to do something that has impact. So one of his movies is called Jason's Letter, if anybody would like to Google that. And that was starring Vivica Fox and Michael Paré, who also starred in Eddie and the Abusers 1, 2, Streets of Fire. And there were other few stars in that movie as well. is basically concerning the subject matter of, unfortunately, some young men being gunned down by the police, and actually trying to resolve in a peaceful manner how we can bring both sides together and try and figure out how to make both sides have a bridge of communication and speak with one another. In that movie, there was a young man that was actually told by his mother to go get a library book that was overdue from the car. And he goes to the car to get the library book. And unfortunately, 2 police officers mistake the library book to be a gun, and he's shot. So the whole movie is actually based on that young man's perspective from heaven. So it was really well done. I watched it, and I have to say, this next movie is going to be regarding the subject matter of child abuse, which is extremely close to my heart. I've actually been fighting against child abuse since I was approximately 18 years old. That's sometimes you don't know where life's going to take you. I actually had a promising career as an illustrator, was offered a lot of money to do that, wound up going to England on a scholarship and being there for a semester, and unexpectedly wound up saving somebody's life that was being beaten up by going out of a window in the winter with bare feet and breaking the window downstairs with my bare feet. I don't know how I was cut. Scotland Yard came, the man had stuffed a sock in her mouth so she could no longer scream. So her life was saved. That changed the course of my entire life. That's what made me want to become an attorney to help abuse women and children. That's why I became an attorney. One of the cases I had while I was still in law school. When you're in your last year of law school, you can become a student attorney as long as you're sponsored, you have an internship, and you're given a number by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. I was honored to have that, and I worked for the Domestic Abuse Project in Media, PA. As God or fate, whatever you want to believe, personally I think it's God, would have it, the case that happened to come to me while I was there wound up being on the news nationally. It's the Rivera case, and it was the first case in the state of Pennsylvania where a parent was convicted of kidnapping their own child. He had also murdered his child when the child was 2.5 years old. Her name was, and I can say her name without any privacy issues, her name was Caitlin Rivera. I'm still in touch with her mother today. I actually mentored her mother, and she became involved in criminal justice. And I'm actually very proud of the mother. So that case stuck with me and will be with me for the rest of my life. As a result of that case, I went and became the domestic violence expert of the Montel Williams show for Montel Williams. And then I have to say, the mentality of somebody that's been abused, and believe me, there are abused men as well as women. It's not just women. I've also represented abused men in court as well. And it takes a lot of courage for both a man or a woman to come to court when they've been abused. But it's harder for a man, I would say, because of their dignity and how people look at them when they come to court for that subject matter and going through that process. So what happened was, as a result of that, the mentality of somebody that's been abused is kind of analogous to the mentality of somebody that has not been listened to that has special needs. And when I say that, I mean the parents with special needs children. A lot of times, that parent has no hope, and they've tried everything, and they have gone everywhere, and they've left no stone unturned for their child, especially if their child's nonverbal, and they're trying to get resources and trying to find a way to help their child to become able to speak and have coping skills. So somebody that's been abused and somebody that's a parent of a special needs child, they're sort of traveling down the same road as far as what they're going through mentally. There's a lot of mental anguish and a lot of mental stress involved in those two roads of life. So when I found out about this particular movie that's halfway through being made, called Touch the Experiment, I was impassioned by it and wanted to talk to the producer to tell him about some of the cases that I had worked on, because what happens is those people have no voice. So when somebody like myself comes along, it doesn't mean I'm anything special. I'm nothing special. The only thing it means is I took the time to listen to that person's story, and now, for a short period of time, I sort of have their life and their future in my hands, and that is a very grave responsibility to have. And it's a very heavy weight because that person is depending on you for the trajectory of where their life is going. So I'm an audit attorney. I'm the kind of attorney that when somebody would come to me, I wouldn't just take the case and then do what I have to do. I would actually explain each step of what I was doing to that person. And at the end of the case, they almost could advocate for themselves. So instead of giving to them tomatoes, I basically was trying to teach them how to grow their own tomatoes. And then what happened as a result is you watch the person become empowered. It's almost like watching a flower that looks like this, and you give it water and sun, and it does this, and at the end, it looks like it just came back to life. And that's what happens to each of these people. And this movie is about following 6 individuals that have been through child abuse. The movie is 50% to 60% finished, and some of the stars in the movie, you might recognize their names. Tony Sirico, who was Paulie in The Sopranos, and Stephen Baldwin. And there are a few other people, but that's finished. And the couple of scenes that are left, one of them is actually going to be filmed at our charity, Peace Valley Holistic Center. And the reason for that is, when the producer came to the center, he was so, for lack of a better term, blown away by what was happening to the children, because some of what we have there doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. So, for instance, we have what's called a color light therapy room, and it's patented. It's Dr. Davis's life's work. It's been researched for about 20 years. And he had never seen that before, and we let him experience the sound therapy for the children and the color light therapy and things like this. And he couldn't believe how accurate it was for what he had going on with himself physically at the time that they were telling him. And so while he was driving home and he was talking to one of the actors, he said, there's a fictitious therapy center that the victims go to in the movie, and I'd now like to have it be Peace Valley Holistic Center instead of being fictitious. And so that's another way that I became involved in this project. And I like to keep it honest and real according to what I have watched happen to victims that are now empowered. So at the end of this movie, that's what happens. These 6 victims actually are empowered, and they are successful in overcoming a gentleman that brings them in for, if anybody's ever seen commercials where they say, we'll pay you this much money and pay your gas if you test this drug for us because we're doing a study. Well, in the movie, there's a doctor that does that, and he brings these 6 victims to where he is to watch a movie, and they're being paid for it. But what they don't know is the movie is actually going to be about sexual abuse, and he's trying to see how they're going to react to it. Well, the only one that doesn't end up very well in the movie, I'm happy to say, is the doctor that, through nefarious means, gets the 6 victims there. But at the end of the day, they actually find their way out of the room because he locks them in the room to watch the movie, but they don't realize the door is locked, and they question because why is there a security guard standing outside the room if we're just here to watch a movie? So, but at the end of the movie, they are the ones that leave, and they're successful, and they become empowered, and the doctor that has been sort of insidious is the one that actually decides to take a cyanide pill, because he realizes what he was done and realizes he was wrong for what he had done. But in his own mind, at the time when he was doing it, he thought he was going to help them. And then he realizes that he made a bad choice. So there's going to be 3 days they film here in Bucks County, December 7th, 8th, and 9th. December 9th is when they're going to film at the charity, which is located in Cheltenham, in close proximity to the school. They were very impressed when they had the site visit yesterday. And I personally, what I was impressed with even more than the facility, which is quite substantial and amazing and state of the art. You're definitely on the vanguard of everything. But I was more impressed with the heart of the two gentlemen who are very quiet and really not looking at me right now, and very humble, and how much compassion and inspiration that they have for what they do. And I'm speaking of Mr. Herrera and Mr. Sweda. They have so much passion for what they do for this school. This school is so blessed to have these gentlemen, and believe me, I've been to a lot of schools in my career, and these students are really blessed to have these gentlemen. They care about what they do, they're inspired by what they do, and they have a lot of passion for what they do. And they have the utmost integrity as well. So that's why I came here today, to see if there were any questions. There are a couple of rooms in the school that the producer thought fit to the scenes really well. So if the school is interested in having that,
So
it would be
you buried the lead a little bit, which is the issue is the producer wants to use the school facility to film.
2 days.
2 days on, okay.
December 7th and 8th, so it would be a Saturday and a Sunday.
Right. And the board would obviously have to approve that
Correct.
under these circumstances. Okay.
So that's really the question that you have before you, but I wanted to make sure you had background, and
I want the
if you
cyanide
just
pill.
didn't have that question, wondering, you know, well, what
I
is
want the
this for?
cyanide pill.
So that's what background for the question.
So what parts of the school are you intending to film?
One was, I think, is that a teacher's lounge that we were in?
Student services.
Student services?
area. So that student service area has, it's all encompassed in one, there's like 3 rooms in that student service area. You walk through the front door, you go into a hallway, into an office, into a kitchen, and then into another office, into another office. So that
Linked
big
up.
square right there. And he did have interest in the small faculty lounge all the time here in the building, but he said he didn't know if he was going to use that or not. So basically, in that where the major part of the film, from what I understood, was going to be in that, actually Miss Rubin's office, set up a table, and the students would be sitting at the table like a classroom, looking onto a screen and watching this video.
So the filming won't occur throughout the school, they'll be isolated
No,
in specific
yeah,
areas?
a little microcosm, yeah.
And it's a Saturday. So no students will be.
Is this organization going to get the ability to review the final content before it's published?
I actually did a memorandum of understanding, and the answer is yes. So I
How much are we
actually
gonna get back as
wrote
taxpayers?
2 different options so that everybody would be comfortable. So option 1 would be if the school wanted to use their name and utilize the film when it's done for creating awareness for yourself or social media for the school, or anything you would like to utilize it for. And then you would have all the A-list stars. Actually, the man that's going to be filming, that I believe is coming from California, But the gentleman that's the major star that's coming to film in Bucks County, he, along with 2 other people, would be names he would recognize. I, as you can see, did not keep up. I'm working too much to keep up with all the different names that are out there today. But other people may recognize their names. I had to actually look the gentleman up, and I saw that he was in Beverly Hills Cop, and he was in Black Mass, and he was in Badlands. Like, I recognized the movies he was in. I saw his face, but I honestly didn't recognize his name and had to look him up. But that's the gentleman that would be playing the part of the doctor in the school. And you would, so that would be option 1. And then
We would receive credit in the credits,
Correct.
and we can use it to promote our facility.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's your first option, if you want to do that. Your second option would be if you decide you don't want to use the school's name and you want a fictitious name, but you still would like to utilize the film for your own purposes, is option 2. Option 3 is you decide you don't want the school's name, you just want to rent the space, and you don't want credit for the film. So this way, I made it that way so there would be one option that would be comfortable, just as according to basically whatever your discretion is, whatever your comfort zone is. So it's really up to you. You can do whatever you like.
So is it a documentary or a movie?
No, it's a movie. It will probably be on, he already is been talking to Netflix. And a couple, I think, Showtime or Stars, one of those as well. I think his other movie is actually currently on Stars right now, Jason's Letter.
Interesting. Anybody else have any questions? Does anybody have that?
What makes this a little bit different from the normal, I mean, normally if someone were using school facilities, they would fill out your facilities use application, pay the fee, and just use it. But here, because of the issue with the MOU, 2 things, like an indemnity issue and also the use of the school's name is a little different. So if the board is so inclined at some point, and you should make sure the public has an opportunity to comment on this particular item, since it wasn't on the agenda. But if at some point in section 12 of the agenda, if anyone on the board wants to make a motion to approve the use under the terms as we've described, and then we'll tweak the MOU just a little bit to incorporate the specific indemnity language.
I didn't even expect.
Yeah, okay.
You say 12?
I don't care
Where
where
are we
we do
listed
it.
there as subject matter, that's why I'm asking.
It's not listed on the agenda.
Oh,
We
okay.
can add it.
Yeah, joint operating committee concern, so it's kind of your general catch-all new matter type or new business category. You can do it anywhere as long as the public gets a chance to talk on the issue before anyone makes a motion.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, I just, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, unless it's the gentleman's name that I can't remember.
You can look it up for us.
I will look it up for you, if I can get my phone to work. I meant for some reason, I can make it easier. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Kimberly.
At the end of the meeting,
You want
The
me to
second,
begin?
yeah.
No problem.
that's okay.
Anybody, there's nobody else on the list, would anybody else like to say anything? Okay. Administrative reports.
Okay, we're gonna start out with our November student of the month. Chris, you do the honors.
Of course. All right. Thank you, everybody, and welcome. For November Student of the Month, Luke Orberg, son of Lance and Nancy Orberg, is a senior from Pennridge enrolled in Mr. Andy Walyoung's plumbing and HVAC program here at Upper Bucks County Technical School. Luke goes above and beyond in his classroom and out in the community. He is a quick learner with lots of energy and always ready to work. This is evident during Luke's co-op experience while demonstrating and exceeding several industry standards such as daily attendance, proper punctuality, and professionalism. During his free time, Luke enjoys helping and assisting his community by spending time at his local firehouse and working within his field. Luke plans on starting to work directly into the workforce after graduation. And on behalf of myself, the administrative team, Luke, and the staff here at Upper Bucks County Technical School, congratulations and best of luck.
Committee, administration, and staff to present you with the Student of the Month plaque.
Thank you.
Say hi to your mom.
Hi, sweetie.
Best dressed here too. Definitely know how to present himself. Very good. Congrats, buddy.
Thank you again.
You got it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can I just add something?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I want you to know that Luke works for Worth & Company right here in Pipersville. And he's a cooperative education student there. And what's really interesting is Luke's mentor supervisor is Chad Goodwin, who started out 11 years ago as the co-op student going to Worth & Company, also a Pennridge student. So now Chad is the foreman of the prefab shop, the entire shop at Worth & Company. So it just shows you the progression of how our students can do in the workplace. I also want to, Luke, can you tell them a little bit about the fire test that you just took and what you achieved? But he's done great here, and I want to thank the Orberg family. You are really partners in the whole educational system, and I thank you for always being there and being so supportive of the school and of your son. Tell them about the fire company.
Tell about the 190 hours of education you
Yes.
put in for firefighter one. Yes, you have to stand up and talk.
So I've been at the Trump-Barrelsville Fire Company for about 4 years. To be a firefighter in Bucks County, you have to have a firefighter 1, which is a 192-hour class, which I just took and graduated from. Through that class, I obtained Bucks County Basic Fire Academy, hazmat operations level, hazmat awareness level, and firefighter 1 national standards. So.
Wow.
We've had a lot of interest about starting a fire, and I'm going to present, we talked about it during our committee about a fire EMT program. So would you be so kind as to sit on that advisory committee?
Yes.
With us? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And Mrs. Reese, is that an ABC company?
Yes, it is.
Thanks so much, Luke.
Thank
And
you.
we have full expectation you'll be staying here throughout the meeting, or else we're going to take that plaque back. You're welcome to leave.
Chris told us that since he scared the life out of both of us, before he would tell us why he
normally what
needed to
I
be
do
in the office, we could go have dinner after this, and he was going to pick up the check.
In that case, thank you. Have a good night.
We're going to segue into the director's report.
Awesome. So today we're going to showcase our automotive technology program. I'd like to welcome up Mr. Michael Young and any of his students that may
You guys want to join me? Mike?
We'll get
Come on, guys, come on up.
Always good seeing you, Kevin. Great. Mr. Young began his successful automotive technician career in 1977. Wow. He then went on to work in the industry for the next 27 years, becoming a master technician of his trade. Never one to rest on his laurels, Mr. Young decided to embark on the next stage of his journey, which is his teaching career, bringing his broad and diverse technical skills with him into the classroom in 2004. In 2009, Mr. Young was selected to provide artifacts for Pennsylvania's Automotive Mechanic Technology STEM supplement binder as a result of his in-depth knowledge of being a master technician and teacher. Since then, he's not looked back, becoming a respected and hardworking automotive tech instructor for the past 16 years at both the secondary and post-secondary levels. From here all the way to Philly. We don't know when you rest, but. As a lifelong learner, Mr. Young holds many certifications for the benefits of his students, such as a General Motors technician, which he's held for over 30 years. In addition, he maintains automotive service excellence, master tech cert, and a PA safety and emissions instructor. His program is NATEF certified, which is a National Automotive Technicians Education Foundation, which is not an easy process. It's a really big deal and requires months of preparation every 5 years. Not Mr. Young, but some instructors gauge their retirement based on when the next NATEF comes up. Not Mr. Young, he's good. Without these certifications, our school will not be eligible for all of the great donations that he receives, sponsorships, and additional funding from his OAC. He works very closely with business and industry, and he has a very long and strong occupational advisory committee. Average 6, 7, 8 members. When you walk by Mr. Young's, there's about 25 members in there saying, give us more students, please, Mr. Young. Those businesses such as SEPTA, Cunningham Automotive, Joe Davis Motorsport, Bergey's, Fred Beans, Thompson Toyota, and many more are here twice a year and giving him whatever support he needs. He provides numerous co-op extended learning opportunities for his students. You'll see his students working at Bergey's Ford, A&T Chevrolet, Fred Beans, Auto Express, Chrysler, Plymouth, Syoka Ford of Quakertown, European Motors, and Joe Davis Auto Sports. He's garnered much support from the manufacturers such as Subaru. He's very instrumental in creating a partnership with them, and Ford. Mr. Young's students continue to do well on the NOCTI end of program assessment. To give you an idea, an overview of his program, there's 129 different competencies that the students are tested on. And there's 200 questions, so there's not a lot of big, it's a hit or miss, but he really prepares them and he does well. It's also important that that test is aligned with NATEF, and they focus on 4 standards: brakes, electrical, steering and suspension, and engine performance. As a matter of fact, Mr. Young was given an accommodation by the 339 team that came in and reviewed our programs for his success on the NOCTI. He was also acknowledged for his community service, working with Bucks County Opportunity Council, inspecting vehicles for people who are economically disadvantaged in the community, and much, much more. Students under Mr. Young's tutelage compete at the Greater Philadelphia Dealers Association, as well as Skills USA. Mr. Young's spouse is here tonight, who he's very proud of to support him, and is also in the field of education as a recently retired award-winning principal from the Bethlehem School District. Bethlehem, am I right? Great, thanks.
Tell them, where were you at, huh?
Dunnigan Elementary School in Bethlehem.
And we appreciate you sharing your best practice with Mike, he shares it with the rest of the school. And we also have 2 special guests. One of them, Kevin Troy from SEPTA. We see him a lot. He's very active in the county trying to get careers, not only to the tech schools, but all the comprehensive programs. He's a great advocate and a former student, Devin Madison. So, Kevin, would you like to say anything?
I'd just like to say Mike gets a lot of support because of the he inspires that in the community who are, waiting for his students to graduate so we can get them into our programs and working in our community. He continues just to be, I think, a role model for his students as well as being a teacher for them. I think he does a great job, and I'm his recording secretary for his OAC committee, and we have a very vibrant committee, and he's very good at keeping his pulse on what's going on out there in the automotive world, and I think that's why his committee is successful and his students are successful. I also volunteer along with Devin as well, and other people who couldn't make it tonight for the NOCTI exam. And those students that Mike has are really very well prepared for that NOCTI exam. And it's not just because he's some people say, well, maybe he's just teaching to the test. No, he's not. Those students know what they know because of his well-rounded curriculum that he teaches them every day. And that's, he was recognized by the 339 committee, like Mike has said, for his achievement with the NOCTI. And the industry, that's what we're looking for. Those NOCTI scores and those NOCTI performances are very important to the industry. That's your hands-on portion of the work that these people will do when they come out to us in industry. So I just like to congratulate Mr. Young for his great teaching and his really for being a role model for the students.
Thank you for your service. Would you like to add anything?
The only thing I can add is, the only reason I'm here is because Mike was pretty passionate about teaching, and I always tried to get the kids more involved with the automotive industry as a whole, not just that job to go to work and make money. And to be great in the automotive industry, you have to be at least somewhat passionate about what you do and have a passion to do the job proper and right and actually learn. If you don't learn in this industry, you're just spinning your wheels, you're not doing nothing. The learning in this industry doesn't stop once you leave that door. I go to classes, I go to all kinds of stuff. If you don't keep learning, you're moving backwards. And Mike tries to instill that in his students. The want to learn, the want to be passionate about what you do. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
I gotta say, Devin, thank you, and Kevin also. Devin also follows along with his father. Kurt, great guy, been real passionate with working with me, working with everything, always been there whenever I needed him. And everybody's been here when I was here before, and everything that we do is for the students. But I will say this much, we can only be as good as the people we have. Okay, Mike, Jeff, people we have that seem to be more passionate than a lot of people were, and now seem to be really on the way of getting things going. I know a lot of times we tend to forget that, and all the work that goes on. We're both here late. We're all here doing things, getting things done, knowing we're going tomorrow. Try to stay, where we're going and who we're trying to partner with. We're trying to work with Hunter now and different things as such. So we are trying. Again, we can only be as good as the people we have lead this. So, we got to keep that in mind too. But I appreciate all this. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we're going to bring up our ABC competition competitors. We had a competition that ABC sponsored, and I'd like to have Marilyn as well come on up.
No. Well, you're speaking, I'm not. Luke was a competitor.
Yeah, I just
want to have my back people, but.
A little background. We'd like to introduce Vince Council, who is Council, a great ambassador to school and the construction industry in general. We've had a long, illustrious history with ABC going back to 1994.
Yes.
Yep. And through different stages, and we value this relationship as very important because it impacts students. So we thank you and welcome Vince for coming out.
Glad to be here. Just a little bit of background about ABC. I represent the ABC Eastern Pennsylvania chapter. There's 4 chapters in Pennsylvania, 70 chapters across the country. In our chapter, the Eastern Pennsylvania chapter, we have 500 construction companies that are members. I'm the Vice President of Workforce Development, so they pay me to find qualified future employees. We like to call them future leaders. I'm pretty sure everybody here knows that the construction industry, along with a bunch of other industries, are way behind the 8 ball as far as employees and workforce. That does not mean that they pay me to find unqualified people, because it's expensive to have that revolving door going. And that has never been the case since, this collaboration has been going on since '94. I've been here the past 12 years now. In those 12 years, there's never been a student who came out of Upper Bucks whose employer was not happy that he or she was there, ever. And I can't say that about all these people. 3 years ago? No, would have been 4 years ago in, I guess, January. We started something called the ABC Alliance for Careers in Construction, and Upper Bucks County was our first signer to that collaboration. So now, people, various people, Nolan, Emily, Mike, some of the instructors, sit on a rotating basis on our Workforce Development Board and help us plan events, classroom presentations. It's exactly, you hear this word all the time, industry and education partnership. There's your definition right there. That's, we have 30 schools in that alliance. Upper Bucks was the first one, and is easily the most active. One of those events, which is where Tyler and Luke came in, one of the events that we planned this year was our 4th annual construction fair. It's grown in those 4 years. Upper Bucks was the first one. Feedback from Upper Bucks County has helped us make each consecutive fair better than the last one. This one, we rented out the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks. We had 33 ABC employers, excuse me, and 570 students from area schools showed up that day to learn about construction and watch some things going on. And one of the things they were watching was we had team competitions from 4 of the area schools, Upper Bucks being one of them. Tyler, and Luke were on that team. And I'm sorry, but I don't know the backup team's names because they didn't need to work. Who were they?
Luke, you'll have to help me. So we had a backup group, and the reason why we had a backup group for our team of 3 was because the previous year, our TeamWorks team had a catastrophe. They were getting ready to compete for Skills USA, and one of the competitors broke his leg a week before the competition. So that echoed in our minds. So we had a backup team of Joe Desiris, Stephen Brzezinski, and Brian Flores. So we had that backup team, and they did everything that our regular team did to be supportive, and it was great.
I'd just like to point out that that kind of forethought and backup is why the students that come out of the school are as good as they are. So, Tyler, and Luke took first place in that team competition. Really good job. The judges based their grades or their scores on 30% safety, 30% quality of work, and 30% adherence to the specifications. The other 10% was the amount of work that got completed in the time we allowed them to do, and they completed the whole thing, so no problem there. For that, they got some certificates and some ABC jackets and things like some gift cards, but they all received 2 full years of tuition to ABC Apprenticeship School. Two of them, Luke and one of the Tylers,
Tyler Atkinson.
are already employed with ABC members. They will be going through the apprenticeship program, 2 full years of tuition toward that. The other 2 are paid by the employer, just in case anybody's wondering. And we're working on the 3rd one, so that should not be a problem. So again, this collaboration between Upper Bucks and ABC has been just wonderful for the industry, for the students, and quite honestly, it makes my job a whole lot easier to do, and that's always a good thing. So, thank you.
What time did you start that morning?
I was here at school at 5:45.
So I just want to add one more thing. We turn out a good product because we have 4 excellent teachers. This doesn't happen by accident. We have in our electrical program, Mr. Craig Guest. In our carpentry program, Mr. Caleb Miller. In construction, we have Mr. Brian Moser. And in our HVAC plumbing program, Mr. Andy Walyung. So when you have 4 excellent instructors, you get good product to sell to business and industry. So they should be acknowledged. They're good teachers.
They are. And one segue to your point, not only we take students from here, but when your instructors retire, guess who hires them? Thank you.
Thanks.
So our next group of people will be the FFA National Convention results. These are the instructors and students that drove to the competition. So we're going to give you a quick overview of how they did.
So our goal's always been to be locally state champs, and because of Mrs. Dinka's success, we're broadening that to the national competitions and for students. And there's a lot of teamwork. Mrs. K likes to stay in the background, but I'm sure they have some great stories from the trip that you sent them on, and you asked that, so, Caitlin.
We sure did. We had a good time. I probably learned more about these 4 students in that short period of time than I have in the 2 years I've been with them, or 3 years, depending. It was a lot of fun, and you can ask them, they'd probably say the same thing. A lot of good, funny moments that I won't share, but we had a lot of really great laughs. So they competed out of 45 teams in the veterinary science competition. This was 2 days of competition, and a challenging competition. It's a tight national competition, and we placed 18th out of 45 for our first go around, which is pretty awesome. They received a bronze emblem for that. So FFA, or what? Silver, sorry, gosh. She even knows, I don't know what I'm talking about. So FFA gives out emblems that are gold, silver, and bronze, and that is based upon top 15, I believe, are gold. Beneath that is silver, and then you have your bronze teams at the end. So we were strong competitors right in the middle, probably high-end middle, actually. Individually, we had a bronze placement with Nina. We had a silver placement with a Stephanie, and then we had 2 gold placements individually, and this was 178 students in the whole competition. Our top placing gold individual was 14th out of 178, and she was 6 points away from being top 10 in the nation, which is amazing. Do you guys want to add anything?
Congratulations, great job.
If I could add something, so I was the chauffeur. You wanted to know what we were going to do, if we were crazy driving that far. Yes, we were. But these girls studied the entire time, and Mrs. Danko was working with them. I knew 2 questions, 2 answers to the questions. The hardest tissue of the body is tooth enamel, the second is bone. I teach that, so I knew that. I was excited, and they thought I was crazy because I was excited.
You are.
But they studied the entire time, and the rigor of the questions that they were studying, I'm like, holy crap, this is like veterinary assistants. Like these are veterinary level questions. Like these are things I ask the vet when the vet comes to like look at my son's farm animals. Like this is just, I mean, the rigor was just amazing. And listening to Mrs. Danka and some of the other teachers across the nation, like they were discussing the rigor of this. I mean, this is like a hard competition. And the stuff that these students need to know in the veterinary assistance program is just phenomenal, between like medicines and weights and diseases and disorders, like among various species. It's not just scooping poop in the barn and taking them to farm show and auctioning them off. It's a lot of rigor up there. And I just want to thank you for letting me go along and experiencing that. And ladies, you were amazing. So I just wanted to like put that 2 cents in about how hard this competition really was and the rigor of the questions that they had to answer.
Thank you.
I have one small segue I want to add to, only because Tuesday night we found out if she was accepted or not. So if you're aware of FFA, they have degrees that they offer, and that is for levels of achievement within the organization. They have Greenham, which is just a basic understanding, chapter, which is top level of our chapter, and then there is Keystone degree, which is a state level degree. It took, $1,000 that she had to earn. She had to have so many hours in on her projects to get it, as well as so many activities performed with the chapter and so many community services. It's a very tight competition to get approved for a Keystone degree. This was our first try getting one. I took Nina's application with me Tuesday, and she passed with flying colors. Keystone degree at Midwinter Convention at Farm Show on the 6th of January, so if you would like to go, she is a Quakertown senior. It'll be a great opportunity to see our first one walk across the stage.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
The rumor is the Quakertown superintendent loves their milkshake, so if you...
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay. I just wanted to recognize, we had manufacturing, a career manufacturing expo here Wednesday afternoon actually, for our students to come in and meet some of our manufacturers. Mrs. Reese, we had 16 organizations here. I just want to give Ms. Reese a huge round of applause for putting this together. Recognition. I'd like to recognize, Mr. Moser and his construction technology students. There's been a drainage problem at the Upper Bucks County Technical School in the back by the welding program for years. We finally decided to, cut the concrete or cut the blacktop, and they did a phenomenal job, and the water issue is over. So I want to, congratulate the construction crew. They did a phenomenal job. Top notch. So again, thank you very much for Mr. Moser and the construction technology program.
Yes, thank you. I think that was an outstanding issue for a very long time.
I've seen pictures, it's great, it looks awesome.
It
I mean, it looks professional.
Thank you,
I mean,
Mr.
you
Moser.
can't say much more, I mean, it looks great. And if it doesn't work, even better.
Yeah, it works well. Because right after it was finished, well, actually, while it was dug, no concrete, just a stone, we had a huge storm, and it went into the hole, went down where it was supposed to go. So now it's even better. And lastly, donations. We had quite a few this month. Michael Hefner, 25 Hefner machine T-shirts for all Upper Bucks machining students at $150 value. We had 3 Wearings gift cards for the ABC Construction Day competition winners at $150 value. We had, of course, you just heard, we had 3 students receive 2-year scholarships worth $7,000 apiece to the ABC Apprenticeship Program. They also received ABC jackets and iTunes gift cards, 60 T-shirts for the construction cluster students, and 20 ABC jackets for the students, facilitators, and teachers at an estimated value of $22,520 from ABC. I'd like to give the ABC another round of applause. Thank you very much. We had some scrap aluminum from McHugh at $1,000 for our welding program, scrap steel from Rich Smith of a $600 value, and scrap steel and miscellaneous plates and beam drops from Don Bandit of a $600 value for the welding program. And we also had a Educational Solutions on Enterprise, Kurt Maley. We took these truck up to the State College for best practices, and they sent us a cash sponsor of $1,000 for the food truck. So it was a great conference. We made a lot of connections, and the food truck was a huge success. That's all I have for you.
Moving on to the committee reports. Who would like to make a report on the facilities committee?
I can.
Please, Dave.
All right. It's hard to compete with those students, I mean, all their successes, so it's really hard to compete. So I got facilities, I mean, that's kind of boring in reference to what these guys did. I mean, ladies and girls, they guys do. So their success is huge, compliments and props. Mr. Gephardt, Mr. Fumo, and myself met about facilities. We talked over 2 major things, the new monitoring system with the septic, the water treatment plant with Knox-Nixon, the inflow and the outflow of the water. We're able to monitor it with actual data. So that's a huge success, which was just implemented last month. Was it last month?
2 days ago.
There you go. That'll be this month. That'll be this month, yeah. And then conversations about the roof and the actual condition of the roof, the whole roof. So there's a lot of square footage of roof and stuff like that, and where it is, and just facilities in general is kind of cool in the sense of, you know, you got to keep up with it, otherwise it takes its toll. So Bill's got a lot of work ahead of him, but I appreciate the effort and the time you're putting into it. So excellent.
Thank you.
Yep.
Finance committee, who would like to report?
I guess that would be good.
Please.
We met beforehand. Teresa went over a few things. A summary of the year-end financial audit. There's some recommendations from the auditor having to do with basically recording things so that there weren't any questions. A preliminary ending balance, if you want to call it that. We had budgeted 1.4 million out of fund balance to balance the 18-19 budget. We only used 700 of that, so huzzahs, hoorays, whatever, well done. So that was a good thing. Teresa's still working at figuring out where things should be and where things are gonna go. We also had a little information about the electric provider. We got another 24-month agreement at a little bit less than we paid before. A little over 3 cents a kilowatt, which is very good. And the next meeting, The local auditors will be here at 5:30 till 6 to go over their findings, and they'll tell the committee what it is, and then the auditors will be at the regular JSC meeting to answer any questions.
Is that in December?
Yes, that would be December 16th, no, December 19th.
You done?
I'm done.
When the subject came up for discussion, that's okay. The subject, green energy, came up at our last meeting in regards to the electricity contract. I just like, how did that go, if I may ask? Did anything come of that, any conversation? Just curious.
So we can look at a company that'll come in, so not for this particular 2-year contract at that point, because we were kind of under the gun to
I
get that
understand.
signed, but there is a company that will come out and give a presentation when we get closer to the end of this one, so we can.
You say that as in, are they talking about doing all of it, or are we still gonna go through the coalition that we have for the electricity rates, right? So we're gonna use a series, right, of all a few schools. Will we still be using that program, or would it be independent of that?
I will have to check with Provident Energy to see if they're ones that have it, so there are green options.
I got one today,
but they
it's
are more
8 cents a kilowatt hour.
How much more costly?
That's expensive. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're getting 3 here.
Moving on, policy committee, Mike, would you mind?
Nope, I don't. I'll skip some of the previously
sick.
discussed ones, but we're looking at about the possibility of a potential fire science EMT program. We're in the beginning stages, looking to partner with Bucks County Community College, Ottsville Fire Department, Del Val Fire Department. And as a result of our legislator day, one of our representatives pulled us aside and said, hey, what do you think about starting a fire science program if I can get you some funding? And yes, funding always helps, and grants. As we mentioned from Luke, we have a number of students that spend a lot of time in the evening and trying to get those Fire 1 and those certifications. So again, we're looking for some parent information sessions, looking at this summer and geared specifically for high school students, using our existing resources, but just kind of channeling it to a special program for high school students. Benefits would be college credits, high school credits, and volunteerism. We want to promote volunteerism in the community, and we think this would be a step in the right direction for our students to give back. Benefits also is getting reduced tuition at some colleges if you serve on their rescue squads or their fire squads, and that's a possibility. We talked about the Skills USA Professional Development Conference. 6 of our students sat in on the conference with our staff, and they learned soft skills such as social media, networking, dressing for success, and interviewing skills. Transitioning to our open house, it was very successful. We had over 300 participants that showed up. That was great. One student that signed up that night, let me get into a program, and that was great. The programs, the staff really made the place, to your point, Mr. Reese, about the facilities. We're very proud of them, and it's the people and the facilities and the spirit of the school that really attracts students and parents. There's some nice pictures from Kaz. He did all those nice decorations, and it looked great. Alumni engagement, our alumni survey, we've gotten positive results back. Over 40 alumni have taken the time to give advice to our current students. We're looking potentially for a UBCTS Hall of Fame, piggybacking off what Pennridge does, something similar, and creating that structure here. And we had a recent graduate, Brianna DiGiacomo, coming back to work with our students on the welding sculpture and giving back. So again, it's that engagement, and that's a great spirit here. We also talked about new technologies, drones, to the curriculum. We had a professional development day for our staff, one to introduce that to the curriculum. A couple of our teachers have them in hand. They're getting their FAA certificates. They've flown them above up to 400 feet. One of our current students for the Skills USA competition for job demo is going to be using the drone. And it's going to give him confidence, which is great. And maybe we'll even get it where they can take a look at the roof and get some nice pictures. And it also served as a team building capacity for us on that professional development, having people get outside their comfort zone and fly the drones, 4 or 5 of them do obstacle courses in our cafeteria and the team there. So we use it as Dr. Harner mentioned. What do you think about drones at UBCTS? And we're ready.
Didn't take you long, that's good.
The FAA license you just applied for.
Couple events that are, we also talked about, we have a major undertaking with PSBA to update all of our policies and regulations. We're going to start that next month. We're developing internal procedures from our staff to our administration to the superintendents of records, and then presenting it to the board. We'll have a very detailed plan moving forward next month. However, one of the, we took one policy out of order, which that was the payment of the bills, which will be presented to you. It was a recommendation of the committee to move it forward to first reading. And it's mainly language, Teresa, changes, and making sure that we're compliant with.
Getting the bills approved before they're now.
And makes sense. I think I covered it. Sorry, a couple of quick events. Breakfast with Santa, 12/7, and the UBCTS blood drive is going to be on December 9th.
If I can add something to the blood drive, we are full, we are to capacity as far as how many people we can have sign up. They have 65 people signed, 65 students and staff signed up. I've worked with Mrs. Strunk on this, and it's completely full. So this is a passionate program of mine with Mrs. Strunk.
I love it.
This is Red Cross or?
No, this is Miller Keystone.
Keystone.
I think they're better.
Tell us what you think.
Huh?
Tell us what you think.
I think they're better than Red Cross.
All right, if no one else has any other questions, we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
Did Jeff fly the drone?
No, I didn't get a chance to tell you anything.
Good for us.
The teachers are playing with them first, so.
Our board might want to play with the drones, kind of meet our approval.
I don't know, I think I could run one into a wall pretty easy.
Moving on to the consent agenda, I believe I need a motion and a second for discussion on the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
That includes the minutes,
It includes the October minutes, the October financial report, the November bills payable, and personnel recommendations. Does anybody have any discussion on these items? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7. Occupational Advisory Committee. Motion to approve the following Occupational Advisory Committee members. I'm not going to read them off, but board members, you have had the ability to review them. Do you have any questions? Actually, motion to approve discussion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? Motion to approve the Occupational Advisory Committee as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moving on to number 9, food service procurement contract. A motion to approve the extension of the Lennox buying group agreement for 1 year from January 20th to December 20th of 2020 for $600. Motion to approve discussion.
So moved.
Need a second? Discussion.
This is what we've been using. It helps get things done in the proper way, as far as ordering and reporting.
So basically, we're paying $600 for a program. It's working for us. No need to make any changes. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Do you want to handle 2 items now, or we can do it now since the election.
I'll tell you what. It's this board's intention to bring one of the new subjects into number 12. This is a open speaking period, and we would accept open comment on the new item that we're going to be presented, which is going to be the filming on the grounds of the school. And we would welcome open comment from anybody in the audience about that at this time.
And I'll also then introduce the.
Please.
Okay. Second issue which the board may consider and which the public is invited to comment on is a motion to approve a one-year extension of the current teacher's contract with 3 changes to the current contract. One, obviously, is the extension for a year to June 30th of 2020. All bargaining unit members would do step movement if they're eligible for it. And those at the top of the step would receive $250 off scale, so basically a $250 payment, and elimination of certain fair share language which has been rendered obsolete by Supreme Court decision. So those 2 new items, an agreement for allowing the property to be used for filming, and a potential motion to extend the teacher's agreement by 1 year, if anyone in the public wants to make any comments.
Yes, sir.
Robert Linden, Pennridge. First of all, the school is owned by the taxpayers, so I expect some kind of return for the use of the school. So I don't want to see it given away gratis.
The contemplated use is consistent with the facilities use agreement, which
Right.
includes a fee, I believe, right? So there is a fee. We charge a fee to everybody who wants to use the facility.
You intend to do that?
Correct.
Okay. And then I have no comment about the teachers.
Any other comments or thoughts? All right. On either topic, yes, of course. All right. Let's see. Actually, if we don't motion to pass them until, oh yeah, right now, right? All right. Not 12.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter, okay. All right, so first I'm gonna need a little help. I'm gonna request a motion to approve, can I get the language for the movie?
A, B, or C?
No, it's an MOU. So what I would recommend is a motion to approve the execution of a memorandum of understanding to allow the use of school facilities for filming, subject to solicitor review and approval. And that MOU we already have as those 3 options.
Can we choose what option we want to do after we pass this in retrospect?
That it's designed so that you can actually watch the finished product first before electing them.
Awesome, that makes me feel better.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, passes unanimously. And then the second motion, please.
Motion to approve a one-year extension of the teacher's contract as described in the discussion. I'll go through the process.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor?
Mr. Second.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Yes, sir.
That's all right, I went to David for that.
Moving on to one of the last parts here, announcements. The next regular JOC board meeting is scheduled for December 19th at 7 o'clock here in the JOC boardroom. Before we adjourn, I would open up to any last comments, even though I'm going out of order. I get that luxury. Does anybody else like to say anything before the meeting is closed? Please.
The actor's name is James Russo.
James Russo, thank you.
Oh, James Russo. James Russo.
He was in The Postman
Yeah.
with Kevin Costner as the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's, what day is that?
December 7th and 8th.
Oh,
Yeah.
If we sent out a note to the.
Is that at the same time, or is that later on in the day?
I don't know.
What's the question?
Might bring my little card and get an autograph.
He's an excellent actor.
He is very good.
You know, you ever see The Postman?
Son of Mr. and Mrs.
The
Russo.
Postman was really, later, sir.
And this later will come soon. I am looking for a motion for adjournment. And a second. All right, Dave with the second. Mr. Hallowell was primary. All in favor for adjournment?
Aye.
All opposed? Good night, everybody.
Too bad.
See you all next month.